abdominal abnormal placentation. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. So it's been a while since I did a video like this. The funny thing is I've made this video at least 6 times, but each time I just don't like how it turns out. So I just don't even bother editing. Guys, let me just apologize in advance. This video is probably going to be really noisy. I have both children with me. I'm trying to make this video because I've been trying to make it for weeks, if not months now, and each time I try to make it, I don't like how it ends up and I have to re-record. This is probably the 7th time I'm doing it. Hopefully this time it will stick, but just bear with. Lots of noise, children around. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old. It's a little bit wild. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about my experience of pregnancy after myomectomy. If this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then you probably don't know that I had a myomectomy in 2016. So what is a myomectomy? A myomectomy is a fibroid removal surgery. There are a number of risks that are associated to pregnancy. So the first one is uterine adhesion. This is the buildup of scar tissue between the inner walls of the uterus, causing the walls to bind together. The second one is, of course, miscarriage. Miscarriage refers to the loss of pregnancy before 24 weeks. Another risk is preterm birth. This refers to any birth that occurs before 37 weeks. Another risk during pregnancy post-myomectomy is abnormal placentation. So this is a condition when the placenta grows so deeply into the uterine walls that it fails to separate after delivery, which then causes excess bleeding. Yet another risk is uterine rupture. This is the spontaneous tearing of the uterus, causing the baby to be expelled. I'm going to briefly give you my background. In April 2016, I gave birth to my son. I actually had a massive fibroid in pregnancy. You can check that video out. In August 2016, I had an open myomectomy, and in July 2018, I got pregnant with my second child. So after a myomectomy, you really don't know what your fertility will be until you actually start trying. I was very concerned about being able to have another baby after the myomectomy, but luckily I got pregnant as soon as we decided to have a second child. So that was a relief. I always knew I wanted to have more than one child. The final one is breech presentation. This is basically when the baby presents in breech position throughout the entire pregnancy. So the first trimester was pretty much the same as it was with my son. I felt weak. I never had any energy. I was just sleeping all the time. The second trimester progressed similarly to the way it progressed with my son. The only difference is I had a really sharp abdominal pain on the right side of my tummy. No matter what I did, it would not go away. Initially, I only had the pain when I was in bed and I needed to turn around when I started getting the visible pregnancy tummy. Eventually, I would feel pain when I tried to bend down to pick something up, and ultimately I just felt pain all the time. It actually felt like a tearing sensation, almost like a split, as I would imagine like a split muscle would feel. It was really excruciating. When I went to the hospital, the doctor checked me out. The baby was fine. Everything seemed fine. So we could not figure out what the issue was. However, my daughter was breech. This pain started around 26 weeks to about, I think, 32, 33 weeks, around there. My daughter was transverse breech. Her head was laying on the right side of my tummy, so I attributed that pain to her head always being putting pressure on one spot on my belly. So in the 3rd trimester, we talked about the method of delivery. If you've had an open myomectomy, or pretty much any sort of myomectomy, whether open or the laparoscopic one, doesn't matter. If you've had a myomectomy and a C-section, they won't let you deliver vaginally. So I had brought it up to my doctor. I was hoping that I could try a VBAC, but she just shut that down as soon as I mentioned it. She said, absolutely not. Mainly, this is because they don't want to risk placenta rupture during labor, which is why they generally don't let you have a VBAC after myomectomy. So we had decided that I would have my daughter at 37 weeks, So obviously this now falls in line with one of the risks I mentioned, early preterm labor, and we decided to push it to 38 weeks. If I'd make it to that mark, then I'd have the C-section. So I had my daughter at 38 plus 3 weeks. I've forgotten one thing. Anyway, at my 6th day checkup with my doctor, she actually informed me that I had an adhesion, a really thick adhesion, which is why I was feeling that pain on the right side of my belly. Insert a photo so you see. At some point there was visible bruising on the outside. My daughter's head was pressing on the adhesion. So if you've ever had an adhesion, or if you have an adhesion now, you know how painful that is. So to have now pressure on that spot, you know, it's really uncomfortable. I spent a few weeks just laying down on my left side because I found that when I shifted the pressure to the other side, it was more bearable. As I have mentioned, the adhesion, I experienced the transverse breech. I also experienced the possibility of preterm labor, but luckily all of those things are manageable, and my daughter was born healthy at 3.7 kgs, which is really good considering that she was technically a little bit early. So the children are getting a little bit, you know, bored, so I have to wrap this up. Anyway, that was my experience of pregnancy after myomectomy. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with anyone who you think might find it interesting. Yeah, bye.